Hello, everybody, and we're here to start season 20 here for the AWC Pro Series here from Daytona International Speedway here, the World Center of Racing here for the Daytona 250 to round out and start out season 20 for the AWC Pro Series. Hello, my name is Christian Delgado, the lead commentator and producer, alongside Matthew Prochaski and Diego Acuna. Big shout out to them for having them in the booth, but um, new year, new season. Matthew, starting off this first week here at the World Center Racing, I mean, nothing like it.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's great to come to Daytona this time of year always for the Great American Race. Gearing up for this huge Super Bowl type of event for the start of the NASCAR season, but also obviously for all these league races that are going on and all these leagues that are putting on amazing shows for fans and people across the country. And I'm really excited to be able to be a part of this and just see what we got for a show today.
Exactly. A lot of drivers showing up tonight. Looks like 30 plus drivers out here, at least in the session. So, looks to be quite a handful of drivers here that are going to come out and show out here from Daytona as we'll get ready to go trackside here to take a look at some of these drivers who are out here trying to make some laps here. We look at the 7, the new rebranded car. Was in the 13 last year, but switched over to, be a part of Jake Scarborough's team over there with JSR. The number 7 machine, Ryan, didn't show the best pace there, but, I talked to Ryan there in the offseason, said, it hurts me to say this a little bit myself, but he said 13 was just some bad luck. Did not really gel very well with that number, so switched over to the 7 machine for this season, and seeing right now up here inside the top 6 here in practice.
Yeah, and as we see him go down the backstretch here at Daytona, we can see Ryan repping the HVTV paint scheme, that nice white and blue Mustang up in the top of the high banks of 3 and 4. And something I'm going to be pointing out throughout this broadcast is just the paint schemes that these drivers and teams have put together. And there's a lot of time and effort and lots of personality that's going into these race cars. And as a driver, this is who you are. Behind the wheel, you can only see out of the windshield, but to everybody else around you, that is you. You are your race car. You are your paint scheme. And so it's really interesting to see all the different choices and all the different designs that we have going on here tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of the fans at home probably don't even take into account. I mean, it's just, really a wrap on the car, but, a lot of people don't really realize it does take a lot of effort. It does take a lot of talent, honestly, to put together a scheme and do it in a good manner. And obviously, we see a couple of really good schemes here. Honestly, not really a bad scheme that we see in this pack here. Obviously, some a little bit more sophisticated as we see some cars going off track there. But this is exactly what practice is for, as we start to see some guys try to experiment here. You see Matthew Chastain leading the pack here. You start to see that 08 actually start to make a little bit of contact, trying to tame them here in this practice.
Yeah, and something that we're already starting to see out of these guys is the pushing the front bumper of the second place car into the rear bumper of the first place car. Obviously down the back straightaway, very easy to do, but as we get into the corners, they're going to want to be really careful getting on that right rear. Don't want to turn someone around early on in the race. But obviously, as you mentioned, Christian, this is exactly where you want to be practicing those kinds of moves.
Exactly. I mean, they call it practice for a reason. You want to come here, you want to, if anything, figure out like who you want to work with in the race, because there's, as someone who's done a lot of super speedway racing, really all the cars here on the NASCAR side of things, there's just some drivers that aren't compatible with each other. They just can't really work with each other just because they just want different things, and whether it's in a pusher or someone pushing you, right? And it's really good in this practice to, figure out who you can work with, who you want to work with, maybe get linked up with some teammates to figure out some strategy here before we get into this 250-mile race.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that we'll notice throughout the race is the partnerships and the collaboration between the manufacturers and obviously the teammates. And obviously we can see we got some Ford Mustangs up in the front of the pack here. Got some Camaros as well sprinkled in there, and also some Supras. So we see them go 3 wide coming out of 4 for a second there. And obviously, yeah, whether or not you're a good pusher or good at being pushed, as you see, they're already wrecking. There's definitely a lot to learn here in this practice session, and it's good to see that these guys are at least trying to make it work, as we saw them go into the outside retaining wall into the tri-oval.
A little group of pack of four up here. Looks like the 12 of Chastain who got through that one wreck. You see the one of Michael Deitch, the 76 as well. Little four-car pack. Now they're gonna go almost fan out four wide here as they try to figure out, who wants to lead this pack here. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the manufacturer helping everything. I don't think it's much of a big of a deal as you'd see in real life, right? I mean, this is obviously on a simulator where, most people just pick their manufacturer based off of what their favorite car is or what car looks the best, right? Um, but you do have to go back and look at the very least, you're gonna know that probably most of the teammates I would presume are gonna be the same manufacturer. So, that's something to look at there is, these teammates obviously are going to try to go out of their way to work with each other, help each other out to get towards the front. Or, you might see some guys at the beginning of the race maybe lag towards the back to, maybe keep this car underneath them to get, complete this all 100 laps here from Daytona.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, with this style of racing, this type of car being the almost similar to the car of tomorrow from days past in the Cup Series. Obviously, this is based on the current O'Reilly Series car models, but the boxy shape of the car, the almost uniform shape from one manufacturer to the other, with the exception of the stickers and the small grille openings at the front of the car. This is going to make it hopefully a lot easier for them to push and shove with that flat front bumper to flat rear bumper connection in a lot of this bump drafting situation that we're going to be seeing here. And one thing to keep in mind is obviously as the race goes on, is just seeing the different ways that drivers work together or don't work together. Obviously, I think early on we're going to see a little less aggression than a lot later in the race. And with this style of racing at this super speedway, it's pedal to the metal. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out front early on and who is able to keep that momentum throughout the remainder of the race to the end.
And speaking of
And
momentum,
yeah,
we do have
yeah.
Diego back here in the booth. Welcome back, Diego. And
Thank you.
and for someone who races a lot here in this Xfinity car, I feel like you probably have the most expertise when it comes to not only just these super speedways but just the car in general. You see them wrecking in the back as you'll
Yep.
continue to see that. But coming into Daytona, what is kind of the mindset you have to come into? Knowing that this is week one, knowing that this is kind of one of those crown jewel events here coming into season 20.
Well, I will say you want normally, of course, to be there to be at the finish line, be the first one to win at Daytona. You always want to have like that crown jewel hanging on your desk behind you. But it's much better about knowing the situation, knowing what's going on ahead, uh, aside as well as behind you, who you have working with you. If you have a whole line of race cars behind you, because like super speedway racing back in the day, we had teammates. Normally, you have people that will work with you, and but normally you will need not only teammates, but also you need most of the guys that are like, okay, I think I'm gonna go with them as well because I want to go forward. Because and then more and more cars we're gonna go ahead and make one of the lines, but this is Xfinity cars. Oh, sorry, these are Riley cars. They're not very well pushing. Once you have a very aggressive push, you're gonna realize a lot of cars that you're gonna have a certain push, and the driver is gonna wiggle a little bit because some of these cars are not very well connected. They don't have like the same front bumper, so a lot of guys who are like you want normally to go forward with the guy that is more expertise, with more will you say not talent, but more like a skill that that can receive a push and not spin the car right away. And you know that guy, if he keeps the car clean, keeps the car straight, and he's not gonna provoke a big one, of course people will go ahead and like get that guy um, to move forward. So yeah, you try to not, of course, be in the wreck. So that's a lot of things that you have to do with winning or racing at Daytona, at least getting a good finish as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said there, Andres. And And we were asked to talk to your pole sitter for tonight's race. Obviously, the poll was decided by the duels here. So let's go ahead and drag in Brett Bennett into the booth, see if we can get a copy with him before we get ready to go. 100 laps here from Daytona.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Hey, Brett, it's Christian, Matthew, and Andres up here in the HVTV booth. Got a copy? Oh, thought we dragged them in. We'll try one more time. I don't think we can move Brett, unfortunately. Well, we were asked to have him come up here in the booth. We'll see if we can move him to the beast, maybe. No, unfortunately, not gonna be able to talk to Brett. Unfortunately, well, that's unfortunate. But 100 laps here from Daytona as we get ready to get your starting lineup here, presented by High Velocity TVs. We get ready to go for a long list here. Over 30 drivers tonight showing up tonight, but we'll see right now. Brett Bennett will take your pole sitter away alongside Joel Farlow, running out that row too. You see Darren Strapped alongside Nick Ingham going to round out that row two. Santiago Aguirre and Bryson Bird round out that row 3 and 5th and 6th. P7 is going to be Enrique Cucalong alongside Steven Maggio in the number 19, rounding out your top 10. Sam Budeswell with alongside Michael Kruger in that top 10.
We're going to have Corner Martucci and Ryan Runnebaum coming on route 6, sorry. Jurgen Meyer, road 7 with Ryan Jones. Matthew Chastain and I'm Tall is gonna be on run number 9. It's gonna be Michael Deitch and James Coslow. We're gonna have Christopher Andrews and Zach Profs running up in the row number 10.
Be back there in 21st, going to be Landon A. Brown in the 30 machine alongside Carlos Acosta in that number 02 machine, P22. P23 will go to Brendan Reed in the 57 alongside Gavin Smith, rounding out that P24 spot. P25 will go to John Traynor alongside Wyatt Roberts in that 42. In that P26 position, P27 goes to Fidel Fabian and Jake Scarborough being P28 and rounding out that top 30. Ethan Sanchez, Andrew Davis in that number 4 machine.
Dean Golett Jr. is going to be on the position number 31. After him is going to be the 50 or Haley Moody on the position number 22. Gabe Gasola and Javier El Soto is going to be on the 33rd and 34th position. 35th is going to be Gilberto Javier Gomera, Olivia Hammond in the 36th position. And the last row is going to be Jacob D. Davis and Taylor Watermullen running up our grid.
And so 38 cars decided to show up. And Matthew, looking at our race weather tonight, I mean, a beautiful day for racing here as we look at 78 degrees, 86 degree track temperature, and, 12 degrees of wind, What do you think is going to happen here early as we get ready to go green?
Oh, yeah, obviously an amazing day for racing here at Daytona International Speedway. And I think first thing we're going to see right out the gate is cooperation. We're going to see guys trying to get in line, trying to work together, find their teammates, find people that they know that they can work with, people they know that they can lean on in these early laps of the race. Try and get in a rhythm. Try and make sure that they're not making a mistake early on while they can. Because at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that you can get to the end of this race. So definitely something to look out for here as we come to green pretty soon.
See the lights off
Christian?
on the pace truck as
Christian?
Yeah.
The pace brake is off. We don't have seat belts, but these guys have wheels, and I hope they have it very tight because here we go.
100 laps here. We'll get ready to go green. It's the 06 leads us back. We're down the backstretch for the first time tonight. That 06. Brett Bennett, Joel Farlow in that 24 going to lead that top side. Is they're still side by side throughout the whole field here. You'll see that number 45 on the top, on the bottom, my apologies, and you'll see the 9, Nick Bingham, going to try to lean back to green, and who gets it? Give it to the 24, give it to the 06 of Brett Bennett.
Side by side, they're gonna be going into turn 1. Brett D. Bennett in the bottom with Joe Farlow coming into the top. It's gonna be pretty much side by side, 2 by 2 by 2 on the first lap, going to the second.
Yeah, down the back straightaway here. Obviously, we see some cooperation on the top. The 9 of Bingham pushing the 24 of Farlow. Obviously, though, on the bottom, not giving up with the 06 and the 45 working together quite well. And how about that 88 in the third on the bottom as we go 3 wide in the middle with the 9 of Bingham coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, the 24 gets hung out to dry there. The 9 makes that car go to the left, and he said, hey, I don't feel comfortable going working with you right now. And Joe Farlow will make his way to the back here. And now the 9 of Bingham going to try to take this race lead over from help from the 53. Bryson Bird and that Valvoline machine tries to push that car out as we exit 1 and 2.
Joe Farlow doesn't have any help at all. He's gonna be losing position as the soccer hole doesn't have anybody. There you go. He got a little hole right there. He's gonna be back in the top lane, but holy cow, that's gonna be a very hard situation for Joe Farlow. He's gonna be pissed that Bingham actually took him 3 wide very early in the race.
Yeah, not even 2 laps in fully, and we saw that 3 wide move coming out of 4. And obviously, these guys that saw from behind as spectators, they know that move can be made now. And so, obviously, throughout the remainder of the race, we may see that move being pulled off in the future.
Well, at least for that 9 of Bingham, that already shows like where he plans on being. He wants to be at the front. He wants to take control of this race, right? There's going to be some guys that are maybe like the 19 back there of Steven Maggio, or the 22 of maybe and other drivers like that who are fine kind of just sitting in line or biding their time. Obviously, 100 laps, a long ways to go here from Daytona, but you already saw that 9. You said, no, I want to be leading the top. I want to be in charge here. And obviously, that's something that these drivers will put it in the back of their minds here when it comes down to later in the race, when that 9 is pushing them, or maybe if they're pushing that 9, they know, hey, you left someone out to dry earlier. You got to keep that in the back of your mind.
Hopefully that also comes into the mindset of Bingham, because pretty much doing that is gonna make more enemies than friends. So racetrack that you need friends, that you don't need to do that.
Yeah, all these drivers
exiting
still
turn 2 here. Down the back straightaway.
What a move by Bryson Bird, going into the middle between Bingham. Bingham got a taste of his own medicine right there.
Caution waves, wrecking in the back. See a huge crash back here outside the top 20.
Yeah, something big happened back here. We got some serious damage to the 5 car, as well as, I don't know if that's the 15 up there, but yeah, some serious impacts to the front ends of some of these cars here. And we're going to have to go back and take a look at what happened, because obviously it was a lot further back in the pack, and luckily didn't take out more than they could have. But wow, that definitely came out of nowhere.
Let's see if we can maybe look back here at our trapper cam. It gives us an aerial view of what happened. Looks like Gabe Cazzola was involved in this. We'll see if he can show us kind of the start of what happened. Looks like that's the 4.
Oh.
In the back of the 97. He's actually going to get away with it. So that's the 4 of Andrew Davis.
Wow. Huge hits.
The 4 of
Huge
Andrew
hits
Davis.
on the 02.
Yeah, the 02 with a
almost the catch fence.
Massive hit. And you see the 04. See him approaching this car. We'll see him go middle here. That 02 in between the 57 of that another HVTV scheme into that 57. You'll see right here the 97. I mean, really nothing the 97 did wrong there. Unfortunately, the 04 just kind of ran him over. And just a bunch of calamity up here. The 51 with the huge hit, the 02 with the huge hit, and just nowhere to go for a lot of these drivers. You see that 02 up in the air, catching some of that catch fence.
Yeah, and definitely a stack-up effect in the back with the 16 car Coca-Cola sponsored machine. Wasn't able to check up just in time, and kind of caused a little more of that, you know, bumping and banging in the back off of the rear bumper of the cars that were trying to slow down. And I think obviously that was not something that any of these guys anticipated coming up towards the pack, obviously being in the back.
And that was a very aggressive move by Andrew Davis. Yeah, we know that we've seen a lot of people going 3 wide, but Andrew Davis had nowhere to go when the 97 was pretty much closing the gap. Uh, you know that Costello is gonna be behind. It was pretty much following the car ahead of him. So we'll see if we're gonna see a as I see right now, the number 4 Andrew Davis got an EOL penalty. So yeah, that was a very aggressive move by him.
Well, and it's one of those things, right? I mean, you saw the whole closing. Sometimes you just have to back out of it. He didn't have really anybody behind him to kind of force the issue there. He just, in my opinion, just kind of, saw a hole, tried to take it. It got closed, and he really didn't really try to make the situation any better there. I mean, he was definitely the instigator of that situation. Everybody else was running 2 wide. Two were just going 3, trying to, make up some spots, which I don't blame him for. But also, when you're going to be aggressive like that, you have to take accountability when you make that mistake. Obviously, you see the EOL from the race control, but obviously, me up here in the broadcast booth can't really hear any race comms. But obviously, the instigator there is that Ford machine, and unfortunately, tore up a bunch of cars there while making that aggressive move.
Yeah, and also we have a lot of people that were pretty much involved, innocent, pretty much bystanders. Bunch of them pretty much racers, drivers that were in the battle for the championship. Gabe Gasol, Fidel Fabian. So he took very good cars with them. So yeah, we're pretty much starting in lap 7. Lap 5 was the yellow flag, but yeah. Very unfortunate by Davis as well as everybody that was involved.
Looks like Gabe Cazola not happy. We see him typing in the chat here. Not happy with obviously getting wrecked out on lap 7, and Gabe was one of those ones who got pretty bad damage here. And I think potentially for this 0-2, it might be race over here already when we haven't even completed 10 laps yet.
Yeah, and I think this 0-2 is, obviously extremely frustrated. Carlos Acosta sitting there in pit lane with a beat up race car. And I mean, what can you do in that situation? You just get ping pong backing around and, obviously nothing of your own doing, but obviously going to try to see if he can get some of that damage repaired, maybe make it back on track if possible. As we see the 18 Alliance Toyota Supra of Gabe Cazola sitting in the pit lane as well. Also got some of that right front damage, is also smoking a little bit. And, one question I wanted to pose to both of you guys is, do you think that this is a sign of change? Are these guys going to calm down a little bit in the back of the pack, give themselves a chance to get up and cooperate with some people rather than making some of those, like heat of the moment moves as we just saw there?
Maybe we'll see some turn down, maybe not. Well, it depends on the driver as well, but seeing that there was a wreck right away on lap 5, maybe we're gonna see some change on the pace.
I'm just surprised to see that they were being that aggressive that early. It feels like with these super speedways, it's either going to be a big wreck at the start where people are trying to make up time, or people trying to be safe to keep their cars clean here. Obviously, 100 laps here, it's a long ways, 250 miles here from the World Center Racing, but unfortunately saw some guys in the back trying to be aggressive, and unfortunately wrecking. Taking out some guys with them, trying to be aggressive to get to the front, and a little bit of a misjudgment by that Ford machine, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles here at Daytona. Especially when you're back in the pack there. Sometimes there's nowhere you can go. You saw a lot of that happening in that last wreck, but you do see lights off on the pace car. We'll get ready to go back green here to start lap 9 here, but you'll see that pace car once again take a hard left turn on the pit road, and it'll be the 06 and the 53 going back to the restart zone.
Another bird leading the packs going into turn 1.
Oh, a pretty good jump out of that bottom lane on the start there. Unfortunately, the 45 of Darren didn't really know that we were going, I think, on that bottom lane. Unfortunately, that 6 had to back up to the 45 to get that lane going. And with that being said, the top just got linked up a little bit better. You're going to see the 53 and maybe even the 19 get clear here going into 3. No, just a 53.
Yeah, and you saw the 41 of Michael Kruger in that blue and black Ford Mustang behind the Aris number 19 orange car in the top lane. We saw him give a huge shove to those two out to the front here, and obviously they were both able to clear the bottom lane, get to the bottom, but obviously you're seeing them battle back on the top, and I think that this is a sign of more to come here with the dominant lane being switching back and forth based on who's more cooperative.
Then also, who is able to? Oh, caution!
Caution now once again here, wrecking towards the back end of the field once again. You see, it looks like that's the 2. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer back there all going up. Caution will wait once again here. Second caution in his first 10 laps. We talked about aggressiveness being a high, once again.
Yeah, we see the 2 taking a tow there to pit road. Money Lion Ford Mustang machine. And we're going to take a look and see what happened here. Obviously, another big checkup that wasn't on the cameras, but not quite sure what happened, as we see from the aerial camera.
See the 2. Oh, man, the 9.
Oh.
It's up into that left rear quarter and unfortunately just turns the 2 and just nowhere once again for a lot of these guys in the back to go. You see a wreck, it's hard to check up when you got a guy behind you because once again, and it's something we haven't really talked about, visibility is not the best here when you're tucked up behind a car. Hard to see when these wrecks are happening, and this is exactly what you see is, and we'll go back and look at this again. Unfortunately, just kind of once again, I wouldn't say it's a careless thing, but just a lack of awareness of, the cars around you. You see the 9 come up the track here. I really don't see the 2 come down at all. Just the 9 comes up, hooks the 2, and nowhere to go for a lot of these drivers back here.
Yeah,
Wow,
obviously the stack-up effect was huge. We saw Tyler Watermelon in the back get absolutely ping-ponged, and he was nowhere near the initial contact. And a lot of these guys just scrambling for, clear areas. There's smoke and debris coming all over the place. And, yeah, definitely nowhere to go for a lot of these guys once again.
Yeah.
I want to go into an onboard on Christopher Andrews. What a way to miss that crash.
Can find the driver here of Andrews. Back here and try to find this wreck once again.
Christopher Andrews piloting the University of Alabama Crimson Tide Ford Mustang.
On board with this number 28.
Following line.
See that 2 right in front of you. You see that green paint there on that top lane? I believe it came out at turn 2 here, so just have to go through the tri-oval, go through 1 and 2. We'll see this 28 try and somehow get around this wreck here. Right on board. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see here. See him get all the way to the bottom. A little bit of contact, but
Wow.
not enough to really affect that car at all. You'll see him get through that wreck. Almost squeaky clean there, but a good avoidance by that number 28.
That reminded me of Austin Dillon 2022. What a move.
Definitely. And obviously from the hood cam that we just saw there from Christopher Andrews, obviously not a lot of visibility of the lead cars in the front of the pack. The best drivers in super speedway racing are able to kind of predict and, find the right places to go at the right time based on the energy and the movement of the pack in front of them. But I mean, even from the hood cam, there was not a lot of visibility there, let alone from the driver's eye. Right, being right behind a car that you're pushing, for example, you're not going to be able to see a lot of stuff going on, all the beating and banging, shoving and moving around until there's tire smoke. And sometimes it's too late once you see the smoke. And obviously, where there's smoke, there's fire, so to speak. And so, definitely a good avoidance there, as we saw. And the 19 Aris Toyota Supra in the front of the pack here looks like he's going to lead them back to green once we get lined up again.
Yeah, and speaking about that, kind of ability to predict or where to put your car, You know, a lot of drivers I've talked to, and especially me personally, they don't even look for a wreck. They look for that smoke, right? Because that's the biggest indicator that someone's going the wrong way or something like that. And a lot of the times the smoke it covers a big area. When you see a car get spun around there, you'll see the smoke light up there, and just try to you know there's always that debate of, right. There's some drivers that say to get through the wreck you go through the smoke. You go towards the smoke because most likely the wreck will be gone by the time you get there. There's some people that say no, you get the furthest away you can, and um try to get around. But obviously, there's that catch-22, right? If you go towards the smoke, there might be a car there. But if you also go towards the smoke, most likely, everybody had cleared themselves out. But if you go away, right, there might be cars going away from the wreck with you when you get caught up in it. See a new leader out front here, the AWC machine, Steven Maggio. Remember, came out here and won. I believe one race here in season 19. Came out here, ran part-time, ran a part-time schedule here in the AWC Pro Series last season. Coming out here already being aggressive here. I believe been up here inside the top 5 since the drop of the green flag here. And you see him out front there in that AWC 19 Supra. Alongside him, Bryson Bird, ran here full-time last season. Had a really good points finish. I believe finished third or fourth in the points. So we know that Bryson's going to be a contender here as we continue to, go from week to week here in that number 53 machine.
As the base car has been turning up their lights, we're pretty much lap 13. We have already 8 cars out, so hopefully we can see a little bit more of the aggression gone by this time and seeing it back after the halfway, because if not, we're gonna have less cars going into the halfway.
Well, safety drivers want to, maybe tone it down just a little bit to at least, figure out where they need to be, right? But obviously you see that pace car take the hard left turn, going back into the restart zone. Steven Maggio leads us back to green to start lap 14.
Really good jump by Maggio on the bottom. He's going to clear the top lane and jump up there in front of the 53 Valvoline machine.
Oh, from the 53, a Bird up on that top lane. He has Brett Bennett back there, your pole sitter in that 06. Going to try to help push that inside line, but here comes Michael Kruger. Last year's winner at Myrtle Beach. He's going to get help from Enrique Cucalan back there in that 22. And that bottom lane has already started to surge forward.
What a move by Kruger right there. Normally you see the outside lane the more predominant, but I see for the first time the bottom lane is also very good predominant in some part of the races, and well, you saw it right there. Kruger is gonna be the leader and possibly leading this lap.
On the line, give it to the 41. See the 22 going to continue to help push that bottom lane, but once again, with the numbers starting to die here, Matthew, that top, starting to get those numbers.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys working together really well at the front of the pack here. And obviously, I look at Brett Bennett on the top lane, third in line. I think he's really content with just riding it out here, seeing who he's comfortable being behind, obviously pushing, being the third car, and obviously just kind of, running his own race as he gets a little high there in the corner, and let these guys in front dice it out. You set the pole, you've got a fast hot rod underneath you, and it's going to be really interesting to see him throughout the rest of the race. Obviously, he's running the Strigley Stats car, run by Joseph Strigley. Check out his website. Really, really interesting stuff that he knows and documents with NASCAR. And obviously, good to see him represented on a paint scheme here tonight.
06, yeah, back there, third on top. It looks like he'll be around P7 as that bottom continues to surge forward here. And you still see kind of a 50-50 around, give or take, and we'll see some guys start to shuffle in the back here. And we already have some guys who have lost the draft here back in the pack. We'll try to find them. Gavin Smith, I'm back here on the back, and see some guys further on back here, single file, but you have some guys who have lost the lead draft here. Brendan Reed back here in the 57. No damage, but he just, maybe a stack up or something caused them to lose this lead pack as they're already about 7 seconds behind the last car in line there, but approaching almost 10 seconds off this lead pack.
That's a very worried part of the race when you lose the front pack. Hopefully this 57 doesn't get too worried about losing the pack. Of course, if we don't get a yellow, he will go a lap down, but at least he has some help coming from behind. But yeah, coming back into the front pack, we're gonna have Kruger and Maggio cook along. Pretty much all the people that we saw in the fight with Noah Brown, who is not in here. But yeah, like these guys are pretty much week in and week out, every single day, fighting for the championship. We'll see how they'll do it this year.
I mean, it's no surprise to see that some of these guys up here in the front. I mean, we're past last year, right? I mean, there's a reason why they're battling to win a championship here, and no surprise to see these guys up front. And honestly, the reason why that these guys are up front is because they're fast, they're quick, and they trust each other. They continue to lead this field here, and I think that's a big strong suit here right now for this pack, right? And it's not a disrespect to some of the other guys that aren't up here inside this top 10, top 15, but you need someone who knows how the super speedway race to lead the pack. I feel like you can't really have these inexperienced drivers coming up here trying to lead the pack, trying to be aggressive, because that's how those wrecks start to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And we hit the 19 out of 100 lap mark here, reaching 1/5 of the way throughout the race pretty soon. And obviously, still running side by side. Really impressive seeing how at the front of the pack they're able to conduct themselves, moving back and forth, but still staying in line, not drifting up into one of the guys in the outside lane. Really impressive stuff out of these guys up front here.
Do that 41, lean that bottom lane. Go hope from the 22 at Kukulon, and I feel like that 22 right now, content, like you said, Matthew, sitting in line here, pushing out this 41, and just doing what he needs to. The only thing that 22 really needs to worry about is making sure this bottom lane can continue to get to runs and maybe managing some temps here. And that's something we haven't really even talked about yet throughout the race, is managing temps. With this Xfinity car, you really do have to figure out when you can push, when you can back off to keep that car underneath you.
Oh, the number 47 almost got a little bit in free right there. Well, you also get some tire management right here. Like, yes, this is a super speedway, but sometimes you will, if you go very hard on the tires, you will start feeling the car loose. And sometimes people either get loose or tight, so we'll see how they do it, and if they have to change either the left or the right, because yeah, we're gonna have some green flag pit stops right here.
I mean, green flag pit stops isn't something we've even really talked about yet. I don't even really know what a fuel run it would be for these cars here, but we'll have to see here. But it looks like everybody started to calm down a little bit. Wants to not tear up any more race cars here. No fast repairs for these drivers. So if they get tore up, I mean, it might be game over. We've already seen 8 people already leave the race here early. We haven't even finished a quarter of the way done with this race. See some lap traffic ahead of here. That 41, that 19 will have to negotiate around these lap machines. Did you see them in the 4 shot, right? To your left side of your screen, they're going to have to negotiate around. I believe that is 76 of Martucci, maybe? Yes, it is. We'll see him and stick to that bottom lane. They'll take him top of 3. This is the scary part here, trying to get around a lap car who decides to stick on that bottom lane, but it looks like everybody's going to try to negotiate around him without tearing anybody else up.
That's the scary part sometimes, when you have to pass around a lap car. Of course, the lap car is nothing to do right there since he doesn't have any type of draft. But normally you will need to go ahead and like either go into the apron, but if you're in a turn, like you just need to hold your line.
And we can see the bottom lane here getting really organized. A lot more people and pushers in that lane. And I think these guys are really getting settled here and just trying to find out where they want to be right now. Obviously, running the bottom and the top, you're going to get used to that over time. And this is the time to kind of experiment and find out where your car handles well, whether you're good at being pushed or being the pusher, and just trying to generate runs, trying to see how close can I get and how much distance can I close coming out of the corner. For example, we see the 22 is really able to get to the rear bumper of the 41 as we see the 19 car drop down in front of the 41.
Team manager jumped down and then lead that bottom lane, but that 53 with a huge run. He's going to get side by side. He might even clear the 19 here going into 3 and 4.
What a push by Bennett right there. They were pretty much tandeming in the whole back straightaway.
Bennett might be looking for the lead here as he gets a really good shove off of 4. And he's going to clear the bottom just barely and dive down there with an aggressive jump in front of the 53. What a move. Bennett wasting no time.
We're going to have another lap car coming in.
We saw that first lap car run the bottom line. Looks like he might do the same. No, I believe that's the 30. Or the 60, it looks like. He's going to just get out of the way. He's got the room to do it. He's going to get out of the way, let these guys race it out here. Very classy move by that 60 machine.
Well, what a move by both Burt and Bennett right here. Being able to get that proper push from the back straightaway as well as the front straightaway and keep their car straight, not having any type of nervousness or wobbling that you will see from the Xfinity car. They were able to hold their lane and be able to get to the front. And Christian, I will say this time, when you have a car pushing and they know that this car is able to go to the front, they will know that late in the race, if you want to win, you want to have that car in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when you know you got a car and a driver, really, who can cut their way through the field, you have to keep them in that arm's reach to, you know, get a hold of, right? If you want to go to the front, you'd be like, hey, you know, it looks like, for instance, Brett Bennett. Hey, Brett, like, it's time to go. We need to go, right? And they can cut up through the field. We can work with each other. Get back up to the front when it matters the most. And right now, it's like that 06 looking really quick, really racy, as long as we're getting help from that 53 machine. Good to see the top. I wouldn't say the number's starting to die, but just the momentum off that top not really working here. Did you see now the 45 will lose the help from the 62? Now you're going to have to wait on that 28, who miraculously is up here, you know, got bailed out by, you know, getting through that wreck, that big one there. Now look at him up there trying to push that top lane.
And that 28 is pretty much being followed by number 4, so we'll see. Oh, we have some move right there. Steven Maggio was decided to go ahead and like lead that pack. Let's see if he's able to get into the front.
Steven is already
saw some flames out of the pipes there of the 49 of Staff, second in the top lane. One thing to pay attention to, obviously, is those flames out of those pipes. That means that the drivers are lifting their foot off the gas pedal, and obviously that aggressive move up from the bottom lane from the 19 of Maggio, pretty abrupt and obviously going to take you by surprise if you're leading the top lane and have a car jump right up in front of you. For you two drivers, one thing I wanted to ask is, for those at home who may be wondering, you know, why not just jump in front and lead at any opportunity? Let's talk about the possibility of these guys thinking about fuel saving, just riding in line, whether it be half throttle, 75% throttle. What can you guys say about fuel saving strategy and why you might not want to be out in the front here leading the pack?
You know, I feel like when you lead the pack, obviously you're burning the most amount of fuel, but honestly, I don't really know what a fuel run's going to be here. That'd be a question for maybe someone in chat who, unfortunately, got wrecked out a little bit early. But um, obviously, saving fuel is going to be huge, just because you can go longer, right? And obviously, the longer you can go, we've seen countless times, right? A big one happened with drivers trying to come down pit road, and overestimating their car's ability to slow down to get into pit road, and taking out a bunch of drivers. And if you have that extra fuel, you can go around the track a little bit longer and avoid that potential damage that you can get trying to slow down coming down pit road with a bunch of different cars where we're running a bunch of different sets, right? Um, I feel like that's a big thing is, obviously it's nice to go with the big pack because, you have that insurance so that you have some cars to work with to gain time, but also you have that, oh, it's a 28!
Oh,
Gonna go around here. Caution. Full wave. The 28 up and over.
Oh my goodness.
And somehow
Oh my
lands back
goodness.
on all fours, but caution will wave here. We'll have to continue that discussion after look and see what happened here.
What an unbelievable crash. My goodness. Down the super stretch here at Daytona. Obviously, we saw the lead car of the outside lane get a little squirrely. Would have been the 28 car who got a bad push off the corner. Yeah, right rear.
yeah.
Right rear push. Goes around.
Off the bumper the 4 again. That's the second time. And here comes the 28 up and over. Off the nose of the 34. Adam Towle. I don't know if he didn't really realize that the 28 was there. Obviously, a lot of room to get around him. But somehow that 28 up and over lands on all fours and keep going. I mean, what a turn of events for that driver. But it looks like Adam Towle in that 34 might be game over for him. I'm not sure what was going on with that 34 to just kind of plow into the back of him, but you see he towed that car down pit lane here. A lot of front end damage to that Supra.
Yeah, what a bad push is pretty much relates up to bad results pretty much. I think the F4 had a lot of time to go here, like hold his momentum and then push the 28 into the lead. I think he decided to go here, like give the push in the wrong spot in the wrong time, pretty much coming out of 2, and that made the 28 lose his not only momentum but also lose his stability on the car. And as this, like I said, these Xfinity cars, or once again O'Reilly cars, they're not very well connected. Their fronts are like totally different to one another, and they're not very well pushing. And one bad push is gonna pretty much result in a big crash.
Definitely, we see cars coming down pit road here. While we go down pit road, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break and let our partners at iRacing talk to you guys for a little bit. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Daytona as we get ready to go green here. But once again, got to give a huge shout out to Bird and Grubber Entertainment, partner and sponsor here for the AWC Pro Series. Definitely couldn't do without their help in improving the league. Also, got to give a huge shout out to Akaris and all they do here for the AWC Pro Series, sponsoring some teams, sponsoring some drivers. Definitely couldn't do without the help of them. But Matthew and Drace. We just saw a pretty big tumble out of the 28 as, we thought the, aggressiveness was going to start to die down here, but unfortunately, the 28 goes around off the bumper of the 4s. We will slow these cars back down here on lap 32.
Yeah, Daytona on the back straightaway, just one of those danger zones. It seems there's always some craziness going on with flips. Dale Earnhardt trying to win the Daytona 500 in a similar fashion, getting out of his race car and then realizing, hey, I can still drive this thing. Still got 4 wheels on the floor. Let's do it. Shades of Dale Earnhardt there. And obviously, Myatt Snyder back a few years ago going into the catchments on the last lap. Austin Hill taking that win in the now O'Reilly series. And Ryan Preece obviously flipping twice in Daytona. And obviously, that back straightaway seems to be a crazy location for crashes. And hopefully, that doesn't continue to happen throughout the remainder of this race. One thing I want to mention, though, this 16 car of Smith in the Coca-Cola machine, Gavin Smith was involved in both of the big ones, aside from this most recent one, and is now leading the bottom lane. I just want to give a huge shout out to him. Really good looking paint scheme of the 16 car there. And what a recovery. What a way to bounce back and not let that accordion effect that he got caught up in and potential damage and, not only damage to the race car, but also damage to, the mental fortitude of this driver. What an amazing effort to come back up to the front.
Already up 23 spots. Started back there in that P24 position, and I agree with you, Matthew. I mean, what a recovery to get back up here to lead some laps here and at the World City Racing here, week 1. It's a great way to, put an emphasis on the start of the season here is get ready to go green here. Lights are off on the pace car. It'll be a Chevy Toyota front row. You see that 45 of Darren Staff. I'll lead that top lane.
That's what happened. Very much like that's what you need on super speedway racing normally. If you get into a wreck, you need to have the best mentality as we come into the green.
See the 16, the 45, bottom top lane, getting ready to go. Did you see the 45 in that top lane? They going just a little bit better. That's Joel Farlow gonna lead that. They're gonna push that top lane now. That's gonna let that 45 get down if he wants to. If he jumps down to the bottom, no, need to stay up top. No, now we'll drop down to that bottom lane. That'll give Joel Farlow the leader of the top.
Joe Farlow that got into the soccer hole pretty much made by Bainham, who is pretty much not officially out. I don't know if I see him right here, but no, he's pretty much P20. But yeah, Joe Farlow that was pretty much put in the soccer hole in the first few laps is right now leading the pack. So another good recovery for him.
Yeah, a lot more strung out field here at the start of this first restart here. You see maybe, 8-10 car packing and everybody else kind of falling behind here. And I feel like just try to keep these cars underneath them, try to keep the damage clean, as we've already seen a lot of calamity here in these first 35 laps.
Steven Match is pretty much leading on the coming into the backstretch. Joe Farlow. Oh no, Joe Farlow.
Caution wave again, Joe Farlow. They tried to get down, tried to get back up, and unfortunately, car there, the 47. Van Butewell goes around here, and he's still parked back here on the backstretch here. Caution wave once again.
Once again, the back straightaway claiming some more victims in this race as we surpass lap 35 over a third of the way throughout the race. And we're going to see once again here how this all happened. Obviously, coming right off that lap coming through the green flag, if we got back started here again, the 19 getting a push and clearing the bottom lane. But as we saw, the 47 obviously caught up in it and was leading this top lane here.
Looking at it again, looks like the 47 bad push to the 24s. We'll go back and look at it. 24 was clear. It came up there, wanted to lead the top. See the 47 getting the back right there, that right rear. That's the second time we've seen that. You got to be pretty square if you're going to push these Xfinity machines. They're very touchy when it comes to, how they get pushed, and you saw the 47 not be square, gets into the right rear of the 24, shoots the 24 up the track, and then, I guess if you wanna put blame on anybody, at least the guy who kinda caused that whole accordion from that 47, he's the one who went around here.
I don't think you need to have um who is gonna be on the run right here. I think Joe Farlow needed a little bit more space, like not more space, but more like being more in the top. In that way, that the 47 is able to go ahead and like, because you see the lane behind him of the 47. The 47 pretty much had the line, leading the line pretty much, and Joe Farlow pretty much tried to make the move to try to lead the outside lane, but I think he needed to go a little bit upwards behind the 47. In that way, he can get that a square push. But yeah, pretty much a bad push coming from the 47, and Joe Farlow goes around as well as the 47. So very unfortunate right there.
Some cars coming out pit road, but we still see some drivers staying out, and now Gilberto Gamera in this 23, he will take over this P2 spot. Gilberto, you could call him an all-star driver, as we call it. Races legends here in the U.S., here in this North Carolina. Races at Charlotte, actually. They're on the quarter mile. They're at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So one of your, if you want to call quote-unquote all-star drivers, also, we have one more all-star driver in the field. If she's still hanging around here, Haley Moody in this number 50 machine. She also races back there in the Carolinas, as she is a late model driver back there in the North Carolina in that area. So fortunately, we've seen her not have the best race here in these couple of starts she's had here for Frost Motorsports, but uh, obviously only 2 laps down. The first car that is laps down, so definitely not over for this 50 machine, but obviously not the debut she wants to have here in AWC Pro Series. We did see
So
some.
far we have. Sorry, Christian. So far we have more than 10 cars out of the race. So yeah, this has been like a very uh, aggressive race, if we say that. But yeah, um, hopefully we can see more of the racing that we just anticipated, and at least a green flag pit stop. Um, because we were almost to see a green flag pit stop, but we got into the wreck with Christopher Andrews. So, um, but they're pretty much figuring it out and getting a little bit more calm down. So we'll see.
Like 28 cars on track. The last car, technically, and he might even be deemed out, is Andrew Davis in that 4. We obviously saw him get involved in not this last caution, but the caution before that. We'll have to see if he decides to want to stick it out here and limp this car around. But right now, only, we started with 38 cars. We're down to 24 on the lead lap. The last of that, Matthew Chastain in that number 12 machine. You still see a lot of damage to that machine, but still going to try to limp it around, try to get the best of it as he can out of it. But, Matthew, with a lot of these cars, they're starting to get tore up. Do you think maybe the fewer cars might help, with kind of the wrecking?
Oh yeah, certainly. And I think obviously something we're going to see is the less cars there are, the less possibilities there are for chaos. And obviously, there have been wrecks now at the back and the front of the field. And as soon as you limit the number of cars that make up that field, logically, the occurrences that we're going to be seeing with whether it be people getting turned, bad blocks, people getting into each other in the corner, those are probably going to go down. And I think also considering that, we've been under caution for not an insane amount of laps this race, but a decent amount. I think these drivers are going to get, strapped in, and they're going to say, you know what, let's work together here. Let's not be aggressive when we don't need to be. Let's continue racing clean as we can, and I think we're going to hopefully see more of that as we come back to green here at Daytona International Speedway.
49 of Aaron's staff. Really get a good jump there on that bottom lane. Help from Landon Brown. The 30 machine, we haven't seen a whole lot from the 30 this whole race, but here he comes here. Gonna take over that P2 spot, gonna try to push that bottom lane out.
How about that 88 up top? Top lane, Dale Jarrett tribute throwback paint scheme. Obviously Dale Jarrett running the 88 UPS car for all those years back in the day. Now being piloted by the number 88 driver. And we're going to see them work pretty good in the top lane, the 23 and the 88 that is. And obviously these guys haven't seen the lead yet, but hopefully you can see this 23 car get this lead lap here. And it looks like it's going to happen.
There we go, Alberto. That lap led, that bonus point. Gonna mean a lot. You see the 88 continuing to push out that top lane. Got Jake Scarborough, the boss man now. He's gonna be the pusher of the top lane as the 23 drops down to that bottom side.
Gilberto Camara and Santiago Aguirre, pretty much two Hispanics represented right here on the top two lanes. And Santiago Aguirre, as Matthew said, with that Dale Jarrett paint scheme representing, being followed by Jake Scarborough. What a great position, what a great situation where it's going on right here. So Camara is gonna go ahead and like lead this lap. We'll see. Oh no, actually that was given to the Aguirre. What a move.
Santiago lead that lap there. He's getting help from the boss man, Jake Scarborough, back there in that 77 machine, which from that Chevy team, now he's in the Ford for this season. Obviously in that same recognizable 77. Trying to push out that top lane as the bottom still getting help. That's the 23 help from the 45. Darren still in that second place spot on the bottom, and you'll see the third on that bottom is that 30 of Landon Brown.
As we see more and more cars getting on the outside. In the last moment, we had more cars going into the bottom. Now we see most cars going to the top. So we'll see how we're gonna go ahead and like see that like little dance between on super speedway racing. Which lane is gonna be the predominant right here, as we see more cars getting to the bottom.
Yeah, it certainly is a dance, Andreas, and we saw how that dance can go very wrong coming off of corner exit, as being pushed in the right rear can send you sideways, cause a big wreck. These guys, as we enter the later hours of the evening here at Daytona International Speedway, sun going down, lights coming on very soon, as we reach halfway, these guys are going to be really careful about how they're pushing the car in front of them. A lot of these guys may not be really good at leading here, and so they might be better at pushing. Alternatively, they might be better at leading and not be so good at pushing if they decide that their car handles better in front or behind a car. So it'd be really interesting to see whose car does better in which position as we progress throughout the race.
Well, we talked about in the practice, right? We talked about in practice you want to really see who you can trust to lead the race here, be in front. But honestly, you know, the best place to see who's comfortable leading and being dominant is up here in the race. It's something you're going to have to look at, you know, is, oh, the 88 with an aggressive move down to the bottom. But you'll have to see, you know, who's doing a good job getting to the front, who's doing a good job leading the field and being dominant, and who's, you know, and who's not, right? We've seen, you know, some guys come up there and do a good job. We've seen some guys do it not the best job, you know, leading the field. And that's something that these drivers are going to have to look at as we continue to, you know, knock these laps off. And when we get down to the nitty-gritty where you need help, you're going to see the drivers who have been up there, who's been safe, who's been good, they're probably going to get that help over someone else who's been a little bit dodgy throughout the race.
As we see over here, Scarborough pretty much taking the lead side of the race, as the number 7 of Ryan Runnebaum, being followed by Steven Maggio. Even though we see less cars, they're able to keep up with the leaders right here. As Steven Maggio, maybe no, he was looking at getting into the inside, and never mind, he's gonna leave Runabout. He's gonna go 3 wide. It's gonna leave the number 16 of Gavin Smith to push him. So we'll see.
I'm surprised to see that the 77 in trying to work with his teammate there in the 7. You know, those two JSR machines, but see the 7 tuck back in there. It looks like third lane on that top lane, and still just not the numbers you want to see out of that top lane to make something happen. But once again, I feel like you don't really need it because you still see the 19 trying to take your race lead away from the 77. But here comes that bottom lane, the surge here on the entry of the corner.
We see the number, we see Maggio getting that push, getting able to be in front of the Chase Cabros's machine, given by the push of Gavin Smith. But as we see right here, coming into the turns, that's where the numbers go in, and the inside lane is totally much more predominant right now.
Yeah, as we come off corner exit, the lane with the run is going to be the one who has the second place in line car get to the rear bumper of the lead car sooner. Obviously, they were pretty even off the corner there. But at Daytona, obviously this is a numbers game, as you mentioned, Andres. And the bottom lane looks to have a lot more cars as they're dicing it up 3 wide, about 5 rows back. They're going to stay 3 wide. And, you know, obviously as we wind this race to the halfway mark, a lot of these guys are realizing, hey, maybe I haven't been in the spot I wanted to be this first half of the race. Maybe it's time to turn the jets on, get up front here. So maybe we'll see a lot of guys start switching it up as we approach halfway mark.
And as we see behind the number 7 of Runabout, who we see right there is going to be Reed, the number 57. Pretty much lost the draft in the before the caution of Davis and the 28 of Christopher, and there it is. He's pretty much back in the lead lap, in the lead pack, pretty much, and didn't lose a lap. So, lucky him. He's gonna be able to get right here, being able to keep up with the leaders.
Yeah, it's so easy to think that your day is over and your race is ruined when you get caught up in one of these instances, whether it not be, you know, race-ending damage or just some, you know, minor cosmetic damage. You know, taking time to go to the pits and just check just to be sure, you know, it does a number on your mentality and your approach here. But obviously being able to put all that aside and race your way back to the front, and obviously knowing that there's a lot of cautions at this style of racing, you know, really good to see these drivers take advantage of that. As you see them dicing it up a little bit in the top lane as they stay connected on the bottom. The good push from Aguirre.
We saw him go dice up there. Just it looked like that. But besides that, you kind of have to rely on, you know, arrow pushing that second car out in line.
Yeah, anyone who's played Roblox backstretch battles knows that when you have a train of more than 2 cars, that whole train essentially goes any direction that that front car is pointed, meaning that the middle car is really not in control anymore of where that train is going. And obviously, as we see these guys fighting for position, the top lane falling back significantly, hopefully the 3-car tandem is not going to be an option moving forward, because that'll be significant risk for a crash, in my opinion.
The top side they'll die here, but here comes the 88. He's going to jump up top and try to, you know, make something happen here. He's going to try to get around the 77. Scarborough, with help from the 16 of Gavin Smith, going to try to make this bottom line work. Now side by side going down the backstretch.
Very good race is doing Santiago Gira right now. As we see another car, I think it's like the 47 of Sam Boutwell, getting followed by the number 08 of Ryan Jones. We see the outside lane getting a little bit more of a strength, as Santiago Gira is trying to pass Jake Scarborough, getting back that lead.
Coming to the halfway mark here at Daytona 250. Aguirre is going to lead that lap as they exit the tri-oval and enter turn 1. You know, one thing I'm curious about, guys, is are they ever going to single file out here, kind of like we see in the Cup Series these days? You know, I wonder whether or not one lane is going to prevail and everyone is going to kind of train it up, so to speak, and just ride it out, stay in line, single file, and just try to log laps to the end of this race. As you see, a really big line in the bottom lane here, only about 6 cars in the top. Do you guys think that that's a possibility here?
I don't think so. This car is very different from the next gen, as we speak. The next gen is very well predominant in the bottom lane. That's why you will see most of the bottom lane being single file for not only fuel saving, but also for um, you know you need numbers. As most of the people goes to the bottom line is gonna predominate. I was about to say it. I'm gonna lie. We need to have this like little Nichols game or something. How many times we're gonna say the Xfinity car? It's a Riley car, okay? uh, these O'Reilly cars. It depends on who is pushing, who is receiving, who is pushing and receiving the push. As Christian said, yeah, you cannot push the pusher. In the next gen, you can do that. You can push the pusher, but in these O'Reilly cars, this is more about who is able to hold their car, and normally you see 2 lanes, and sometimes you even see 3 lanes. 3 lanes can work with the O'Reilly car, so that's why you see mostly 2 lanes right now. But normally you will not see train where people will just go ahead like get in line to save fuel mostly. As you see right here, you see 5 cars, even though there's more numbers in the bottom. The guys on the outside, like Kira and Maggio, they're able to push and be able to hold their car, be able to have a good push. So they're able to do as well the side draft. So yeah, they're able to go ahead and like keep up with the lead pack right here.
And when you talked about fuel saving, and I'm being told back in here in chat, and we appreciate all the information. If you guys want to continue the feed us that, it'd be very helpful. 30th on, they said everybody behind us 30 just sitting back here, and you can tell they are saving fuel. Matthew talked about what these guys are going to try to do, and you can hear it right here on this gearbox cam. You can hear them lifting out of the gas, just trying to do as much as they can to save some fuel. So we do have a little bit of strategy coming on back here, as we have some drivers just trying to get single file, going to try to save some fuel to maybe get to maybe a lap here to try to extend maybe this pit stop as long as they can.
As we are pretty much already away from the halfway mark. We're at lap 55. So right now, we will have maybe one more pit stop on the green if we don't have any caution, and then it's gonna be game on.
It looks like the longest that we've seen some drivers go right now is 23 laps, like Santiago on the 88. Remember, some of these guys stayed out here on our last caution, so they have about 23 going to 24 laps on this stint, if you want to call it that. Nobody else, for the most part, had 19. That's on the lead lap here, so we got quite a little bit to go. So we're going to think about maybe green flag pit stops, and obviously we want to try to get to that mark as fast as we can. But obviously, it looks like everybody has calmed down quite a bit, and we might actually get a green flag pit stop here if we knock on wood here.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is the 67 car, HPT, or 57, my bad, HPTV machine on the top lane of Reed. So I'm kind of flare out towards the wall. I'm wondering, Christian, is he trying to get those temps down? Do you think that's something that these drivers are starting to worry about?
I mean, maybe if I'm not second car in line, but I think maybe it's just him trying to see, maybe some visibility-wise. Obviously being there in the pack, it's kind of hard to see where everybody's going. You still see him doing it now. Yeah, I just think right now he's just trying to peek out to see, what's going on in front. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable, sitting that close to the car in front. You might actually start to see, yeah, some cars start to get back in line here. We might start to see that single file line as well. The 57 underneath the apron, he'll come back onto the line safely. But now we start to see some of the single filing that we're talking about. The fuel saving might have just started for the whole pack.
As we see over there, like Steven Maggio didn't have any type of um, confidence on Reed on the 57, so that's why he went to the bottom. So that's why you see mostly the bottom lane predominant, like the single file, because people will go ahead and like start like not being confident on another. So I think Reed tried to get into the bottom, got pushed by the number 47 about well. So yeah, like I said, these Xfinity cars once again, this O'Reilly car are able to not being well connected, and the push is a bad push is very much gonna finish somebody's day.
And to see now that everybody's single file, and we now know that most of all these drivers are in fuel saving mode. Obviously, this 88 kind of in the worst spot here. He can't save fuel. He's the leader, right? He's got to go full out, you know, keep this pace going. But everybody else, even Jake back here in this P2 spot, you might think, oh, he's going to try to help push this car out. He can if he wants to, but he can also sit back there and run maybe 3/4 throttle, give a little bit of gas here. And I feel like that's what everybody's trying to do. You don't see really anybody up on top of each other. Everybody's kind of gone into fuel conservation mode. Be ready. They set up this, you know, potentially last pit stop here of the race.
We saw over there Gavin Smith and Brendan Reed looking on the outside. I don't think they're trying to go ahead and like go to the outside once again, but yeah, I would say that Aguirre is the worst on this situation right here because he's on the lead pack. Even though sometimes the leader can go ahead and like say, all right, I'm gonna be going not even 100%, but maybe 80%, 90%. You're still saving somewhat fuel, but of course you're gonna be burning more than, for example, Jake Scarborough or Ryan Ronnebaum, who are like third or second or third. Of course, the best position over here is going to be Steven Maggio, and fourth, he's going to have the most draft coming from the three leaders right here. So we'll see who's going to be able to get some a good fuel saving right here. And well, if you're going to go into the pits, hopefully you're able to go with the pits with people, because normally you will not like to go into pits by yourself.
Yeah, definitely, Andreas. You brought up a really good point there, and obviously another thing to think about here is, these drivers as they run single file in line here, there's really not that many opportunities to pass for position, and so obviously, it makes you wonder: are these guys just content with riding it out, logging laps until that, pit stop eventually hits, and then maybe there's some shuffling of position, maybe some teamwork to work together towards the front. Obviously, right now everyone's kind of just, staying in line for the most part. So we see Gavin peeking out there in the 16 car, Gavin Smith. And, I think right now at least, they found a really good rhythm. They found a really good pace. The question is really going to be, does Aguirre want to stay up front, and does he want to keep burning gas, or does he want to maybe relinquish the lead to one of the cars behind him, have them take the lead if there's an opportunity to drop back and fall back in line?
That's a big talking point at that 88. Is that not only 88 burning the most fuel, he's one of those cars who stayed out. Granted, it was under, maybe under that caution laps, but he's one of the guys who have ran the longest here on this stint. So not only is he burning the most fuel, he's been out here for one of the longest out of these cars. So, I mean, honestly, if I'm this 88, I'm going to try to negotiate my way back into the pack somewhere, so I'm not trying to save some fuel a little bit, because obviously he can't do it now, leading this pack.
Even if you actually save some fuel in caution, you're gonna still have different type of fuel, regardless to anybody that actually pitted. As we see the outside lane coming up once again.
Just like that, the outside lane back at it,
And
being
now,
led.
and now in my opinion, this is where like we're gonna need to go down pit stops, because we see this a lot, right? Everybody's sitting in line, wanting to go, and then now, okay, we're probably about 10 or 5 laps away from pit stops. Here comes the top lane to try to get this track position before we head down pit road here. You do not want to be one of the last cars in line here when you're going down pit road. You make a mistake, you lose the draft, right? Versus if you have the track position, you make a mistake, you might be able to fall to the end of the longest line here as we get ready to exit pit road. But starting to see now people starting to be aggressive as green flag pit stops. Starting to count down here as we get ready to, put these cars down pit road for hopefully the final time for this race.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind is that those cars in the outside lane, they are essentially trapped from getting to pit road and pit entry, which is below the left of the double yellow line. And if these guys are, willing to make it up to the front here on the outside lane, they're going to have to start moving fast if they want to duck down and maybe pit. Otherwise, they're at the will of the people on the inside who are, essentially right next to the pit entry area where they have to start slowing down and getting under the minimum speed. As we see, they're already starting to duck down right there.
Drivers coming out pit road. That's the 88. That's the 45. The 45 might have sped.
Yeah.
Take a look
And it's tough. That's what you don't want. That's what you don't want.
Yeah, that was definitely coming in a lot hotter than I think you wanted to, locking up the front wheels.
No black flag for that 45 though, so. See them coming out pit road to go back to the race for the lead here. You see now Wyatt Roberts will lead his first laps. Strong rookie season last season. Strong rookie campaign. Technically, I think this will be his official rookie season as he didn't run full time last year, but you'll see him lead his first laps here from the World Center of Racing. You'll see when do these guys decide to come down pit road.
Yeah, you just don't want to get strung out and left alone, obviously. No takers there on pit lane, but yeah, you don't want to go even with one or two other cars because, if you guys don't get off pit road at the same time, you could easily lose the draft. So obviously you want to go with the biggest group and the biggest possibilities, essentially, of being able to keep minimum speed to stay in the draft. And obviously I think these guys are either going to try to work together here to get on pit road all at once, or maybe they're just going to stay out and see if they can, maybe catch a late caution, get some fuel, and then maximize on their track position. Obviously the 42 Merzik trucking scheme in the front. Obviously Uncle Rob, a big social media influencer on Instagram.
A couple coming down. No, it's going to be one. That's not what Ryan Jones wanted to see. Is Ryan Jones? Ooh. We'll see if that's a black. It's not. Wow. I mean, once again, getting lucky there. But we'll go back and look at this. So we have the Wyatt Roberts in this pack going into 1 and 2. And the guys who came out back here, they'll be led by the 45. Not really put together, though, but they're coming down towards the backstretch here, going right past the Amasha Canes here for the Daytona road course. So it's going to be interesting to see. These guys need to get put back together because when these guys come down pit road, they need to be really put together to get that speed up so they can hopefully try to get back up here and at least merge back up with this pack when they decide to come down pit road.
That's what you actually want on really flag pit stop. You don't want to stay like so much longer times because if you see right there, there's another car going into the pit road, as I saw from the back. That's going to be the 23 Ogomera. If you're going to have one by one, you don't need that. You need a whole pack going into the pit lane. Yes, you might need some fuel saving for 4 or 5 laps, but you still need the air. You still need the pack. If you have this pack pretty much split in two, it's going to be a big problem for these guys.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the 23 got a black flag going out pit road. So not only did he go by himself, he sped and going into pit road. So he's going to have to sit there and take that penalty. And I believe it's probably be a 40-second hold for that 23 machine. So he'll definitely go a lap down here. Fortunate, not a lot of laps to go left in this race. That might be the ender for that number 23 machine.
As they're about to get into Ryan Jones, who actually came before this lap, and he's actually with the number 3. So we'll see how the other pack is gonna be able to get together. They're about to pass Ryan Jones and the number 3 pretty much. Sorry, but maybe this is gonna help Ryan Jones because they will need that pack to catch the other pack, and once this pack pits, they're gonna be all together. So
gonna be interesting because obviously now the other pack is probably a good quarter of a lap ahead, so I'm not sure if there's a mistake between the 08 and the 3 pit stop. They definitely lost a lot of time trying to pit with those guys. And now you'll actually see this lead pack kind of blend these two lap cars into the pack here, and that's going to leave the 06 of Bennett and the 62 out to dry there on that top lane. But the Bennett's going to try to get clear this 42. I don't think it's going to happen though, with just a two-car tandem up there.
And this is the worst situation right here because all these guys have to pit. There you go. There they go into the pit. Bryson Bird stayed out.
You saw probably some
there.
And you saw probably some communication from the 6 and the rest of the field here. He said, "Hey, I have to pit. Let me in." And you saw that 42 let him in, so they could all come down and pit together. So that was probably some really good communication between Bennett and the 42 there to make sure things happen. But Bennett here with the 3-car pack, he's going to pit by himself because those other two in front of him already came down pit road. Kind of got spoiled by that lead pack. Bird will have to pit. He'll just have to be by himself.
Yeah, really unfortunate for the 53 Valvoline Dark Horse Mustang machine there. And, it's one thing getting on pit road with a group, but exiting is the most important thing. Being able to get back up through the gears, stay in the draft, make sure, as we see another lockup there, into the grass. The 53 car, my goodness. A lot of calamity getting into the pit lane, getting slowed down. But obviously not what you want to see when you're already pitting without a group.
53 will slow down to his box. We'll go back up here. Your provisional leader is still that 06 of Bennett. 62 to 19 to 42, all in this one pack. That's what I was saying. You need to pit with a big group of guys. That other group and not catch back up as here comes the 45 as they have a huge run. This is that second pack. Is that bottom group is trying to get back up to speed. Here comes this, that first pack who came down and pitted. They're going to have a huge run here on this top side.
Lap cars on the bottom, going to have to maneuver around them in a safe manner if they catch them while they're still getting up to speed.
That's the 9 in the 23. That's Gamera. That's the 9 of Nick Bingham. Those two, laps down out of the race somehow. Remember Gamera with the penalty, and Nick has been a lap down for a while here now. So they'll probably merge back up here safely with the rest of the pack here. But yeah, and then there's Bird right there in the back here. So Bird honestly could have been worse. We'll see if he can latch onto the back of this pack here. He's going to need the help by those lap machines, though, to get him back up.
Yeah, and we almost have 1/4 of the race left to go here. I think these guys are really going to start dicing it up in the front. This is go time because there hasn't been a caution for the better part of half of the race. And I think these guys are more than comfortable, just trying to see, what opportunities there might be later on in the race. Maybe if I'm second place in line here, I want to see how can I generate a runoff corner exit. Maybe pull down. Not do it yet, but just know that my car is capable of getting clear of the first place car on the bottom, for example, if you're that 88 on the outside lane. Just stuff to start thinking about, right? As you're in the position that you might find yourself in later in the race as we get closer and closer to that checkered flag drop.
As we see more and more cars lap cars appearing on the front of this leader, so hopefully with the aggressivity doesn't come calamity because you want to be on the front, you want to go to the lead pretty much. But as we see more and more lap cars coming in, of course the spaces are gonna be tight. So of course you need to be fast, you need to be skillful, but also you need to be intelligent. And intelligence very much to hold your car, where it's gonna be the run, where you need to have your car directed, because if not, you're gonna pretty much make the big wreck.
That's really important, Andres, is being intelligent here as these laps wind down and as aggression goes up. Not only being able to know what the best move is based on the information available to you of the cars to the left, the right, the front, and the back of you, but also knowing what could happen in the future. Hypotheticals of where you might be, where other cars might be. Being able to dictate the draft and or fit in with it. All these things are going through these drivers' heads as we come down towards the end of the race. And I'm really interested to see who is going to be able to capitalize on those opportunities the most. As we see Bennett leading the bottom lane here, obviously our pole sitter, he would love nothing more than to be able to leave Daytona with a win for the pole and the main race here in the Daytona 250.
And AWC will put himself in a good spot, to come here and take the cake, and win not only week one but also one of these crown jewel events here in the AWC Pro Series. We have a couple on the schedule. Obviously, everybody wants to win at Daytona, regardless of a crown jewel. I feel like when you come to Daytona, regardless if it's considered a crown jewel on the schedule, it is a crown jewel to everybody. I mean, it's the World Center of Racing. Not only, it's just such a historic racetrack that everybody wants to come here and run well at. And right now, the 06 put himself in a good spot right now. He's got that whole bottom line to help him out. And right now, that top line is, fouled back down to only 3 cars at 19 to 45 and that 88. Really is the only cars making up that top lane. They're still trying to hold it strong up there on that top side.
Hey, Christian, another race is appearing right now, because not only we have the leaders right here, but a few cars behind actually Scarborough or Bryson Bird. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna have Gomera, and behind him is gonna be the 47 of Boutwell, and both of them are gonna be a lap down. So if a caution comes out, Gomera right now is gonna be the lucky dog, and pretty much I see on the pylon of the left side, 50 seconds back, Jones and Trainer. So we're gonna have more cars coming into the lap side. So another race is gonna happen in the lead pack. So the aggressiveness is gonna be right there.
Yeah, I mean, these lap cars, I feel like they'll wait in a 3. Making on a caution here to help, kind of reset themselves. Obviously, we might see a battle, but potentially it's swing between this 23 and the 47 for this lucky dog position right now. 23 looks pretty clean. Remember, he only's a lap down because he made a mistake down pit road. Versus this 47, who looks like he's a little bit beat up. Might have been a lap down just because, he's gotten caught up in a couple of wrecks. So you see a lot of scrapes on the side of that 47 Ford Dark Horse Mustang. And you see just a lot of scrapes and cuts and just a lot of, just little tiny bits of damage here. And you'll see him even put a little bit of bumper to the 7 machine. But yeah, you might see a battle sooner or later between that 23 and that 47 to try to be that, potential lucky dog candidate if we do get a caution here within these last 23 laps.
Bennett is still leading his back. As we see, Maggio is still trying to get out the outside lane to work. We're 22 laps to go. We should be okay with fuel at this point. So yeah, like we're gonna see some sort of a saving right here for some of the guys that came up into the pit 2 laps early than the other pack. So of course, you're gonna see Maggio trying to go forward, because I think Maggio was the second pack to pit. So of course he's gonna be much better at fuel. It's gonna be full out on gas. So that's why he's trying to go forward, but nobody helping him out. Is not gonna go anywhere.
I'm surprised he's keeping up as well as he is on that top side with no help. I mean, slowly falling back, but not much as I thought he would. He's going to try to squeeze in the line in front of that 45. He does. He'll drop the P5, but could have been worse. He could be all the way back there in the tail of the longest line here. You'll see the 45 actually. Then I don't really like what I'm seeing right now. I'm going to drop out. Darian will drop to the back here. Trying to merge in safely here. Trying to get in front of this 23.
Yeah, this is really going to start dicing things up here, because not only do we have 3 wide, but by going down below the yellow, that shoved up essentially 1 car to the outside lane. I think that's Gavin in the 16 car. But yeah, definitely something to start looking at is, are guys in the bottom willing to take a risk or not? Are they willing to work together and see if they can generate a run up to the front? And obviously, we're seeing the outside lane, Maggio still fighting strong after even being in the bottom lane. So he feels like he's got something figured out up top there, but obviously nobody, not in a single car, up and down the entirety of that bottom lane is willing to get up there. So got a feel for him, and gotta give him a shout out for trying and to see what works for his car to get up at the front there.
And
I guess
this,
it's gonna still losing the spots. It's gonna have a hole behind the number 88 of Akira. So if he's able to get it, never mind. That's gonna be a Scarborough right behind it.
yeah, this time no one's really cutting him any slack here. Not gonna let him get back in line. It was kind of like, you know, by the top one, shame on you. But now, you know, this time they're not gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and they're gonna start to fill these holes, and he's gonna actually start to fall back further, because you start to see now, as soon as he gets within range here, see the drivers start to back up. You'll see now the 24 lifts into the corner here, allow that 19 to get in line there, but he'll drop back now. The P7 wasn't P5, jumped out of line, tried to make that top side work, but obviously we saw no one wanted to go with him quite yet here as we continue to knock these laps down. Now we're under 20 to go, 18 to go here at Daytona.
Yeah, these laps are going to click by real fast, and you know, we're going to be sitting here in about 15-20 minutes, and we're hopefully going to have a winner decided if we stay green. But you know, that caution, that next big one might just be lurking, and you can see they're ready to go second and third in line on the bottom with Roberts and Props. They feel like they might have something figured out on corner exit of turn 2 to be able to get a run on the first place car of Bennett, our pole sitter. Will they make a move now or later? We'll have to wait and see.
We're in that part of the race where these drivers are kind of sitting back, trying to figure out what's the next plan, right? We're in that, you know, 15-10 to go range where you're trying to communicate with the people around you. Okay, if I go, will you go with me? If someone goes, you leave them out, right? And we're in that phase now where it's all about strategy. It's all about the teammates and the relationships you made throughout the race, maybe you made through practice, right? To go up there, because now look, this time the 19 will have help on that top lane. He's gonna have the 16 of Gavin, and it was gonna be the 30, but he drops back in line here, so we at least have a 2-car tandem on this top side. We'll see if he can make anything of it. Remember that 16 is a lap car. Gonna help out. No, he's not. I apologize for that. The 16, not a lap car, but gonna go up there and work with that 19 now. Finally, that 19 has some help.
Yeah, just one car. Look at how much ground they're able to make up there. Just 2 cars on the top lane. And look at that. They're battling almost for the lead there, going down the super stretch. And obviously, you know, once again, Gavin Smith caught up in 2 of the big ones earlier after he was trying to avoid the wrecks that he was not even a part of, nothing of his own doing. And obviously, you know, he's making his own history here. He's not letting that affect his mindset. And you know, I think that these guys are definitely going to be forces to be reckoned with in the top lane here as we get down to the end of this race. 15 to go.
It seems like you're getting a good push by Gavin Smith, and they're able to, even with 2 cars, they're able to get into the front of the back. So I see that Michael feels that Gavin is doing a very good job, so that's why he's still working with him. So hopefully we'll see how they're gonna be able to, and other people will see this and they will go with them as the race goes on.
Yeah, definitely. I want to add something to what Christian was mentioning earlier, because you know, a lot of these drivers, they may not be a teammate of who they may find themselves in front or behind of. And one thing that these guys just have to come to terms with is that this is who you got to work with, and if you don't want to work with them, you got to figure something else out. But race car drivers never forget. And if you got wrecked by someone in practice, or you've had a bad run-in with someone in another league or another race, you know, you might think about that the next time you consider pushing or taking a push from someone else. You may get worried taking a push from someone that you don't have a good relationship with, or you may feel more comfortable giving someone a push into a corner if you've worked well with them in the past. And so it's really interesting just seeing who who chooses who as we get towards the end of this race here, and also the communication end of things. Even though these guys might not be in a voice chat with one another on Discord, if they're not teammates, just being able to flick out of line for a second, just a half nose out of line to see if the guy behind you is willing to, get back up to you and give you a shove. That might just be the indication that if need be and if the opportunity presents itself, you could pull out of line and potentially go to the front with someone who's working with it. You see the car on fourth on the bottom coming up off of the corner. Our tire is starting to be a concern here as we have a wreck in the backstretch.
62 will go around to 16. Keeps it off the inside wall. He'll go, lawn mowing down the grass here. A little jump here, and caution will wave here. 13 to go. This is going to change everything.
Wow.
A very huge one happened as well on turn 3. Wow.
I mean, it wasn't even really brewing that much. There wasn't too much jostling in previous laps. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I mentioned the fourth car in line on the bottom came off of turn 2 a little squirrely, or it seemed he came up the track a little bit. That'd be the 41. I'm wondering if that separation maybe led to someone making a bad block or a bad push.
I'll have to see. This
Right
41
there
kind of squirrely, as you said, Matthew. And see here.
Out of the throttle there.
Oh, the 62.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I think the 62 might have blown up.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have to go to an onboard there to see for sure. Wow. Oh man, so many good cars caught up there. Unbelievable. The 42 of Roberts.
Trying to find the
My
62
goodness.
car on our timing and scoring here.
either.
Go back and do another replay here while we try to find this.
Let's go into the on board with the 62 because, yeah, I don't know if he actually blew
must
up
have been.
or he actually hit a netcode situation.
Trying to find.
That brings up a good point, Andres, because I didn't see a puff of smoke there indicating that he blew up. I mean, the only other thing I could think of is if for whatever reason he accidentally downshifted. I can't imagine that was the case, so that's extremely hard to do in modern day sim rigs, especially with an H pattern. But maybe if there were paddles involved, I don't know. But that is such a bizarre crash here. Really not of anyone's doing, just out of nowhere. Honestly, never seen anything like that before.
Trying to find the 62 here. It's
Situation
There he is.
situation that is not very off from me. I've seen a lot of drivers having been in that situation. Of course, gotta remember, guys, we're in a simulator, so this is still not real life. So we're gonna have internet situation and everything. So I'm not gonna be surprised. This is a netcode situation where the 62 actually felt that he hit something. At first, I thought it was gonna be a bad push, but now that I see it, that either it's gonna be a mischief or a netcode situation.
I'm trying to find the 62 in here, and it's just not letting us grab it. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to talk about here through the future, about what happened here.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe see if anyone in the chat can get us some more information on that. But yeah, just unbelievable how your race, being so close to the lead, second in line on the bottom, can just go up in flames from something not even of your own doing. Maybe we can get a better angle of what happened here as we see him go down the super stretch.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, no indication. Yeah, just really out of nowhere.
It's super strange to see what happened there, and I have no idea. Honestly, I just don't really know what to say.
And once again, we see, where people were riding in line. That obviously was completely unpredictable, that crash we just had. But everyone behind, pretty much got damaged for the most part. As we only saw 2 cars of DiMaggio and Bennett exit turn 3 from that wreck, and this race is completely turned upside down on its head. And as we reach 10 to go here under caution, really begs the question: who's got a clean car? Who's got a car that can actually, battle for itself and take pushes and give pushes if necessary. I think DiMaggio's got a pretty clean car, as well as Bennett, and I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you guys think that we're gonna have more caution, or is this maybe gonna be the last time we're under the pace truck here at Daytona?
I see more and more aggressiveness, 100%. Just take. Check us, like somebody said, check us a record. Uh, this is gonna be only 10 laps. Like, you saw some guys be able to get to the front like in about 4 laps or 3 laps or less. And now that you see some of the last caution happening and less cars very much in the race, some of them are still uh, fixing their damage from the last caution. Um, so yeah, there's gonna be more take, and for some of these guys, I don't know who was the beneficiary of the lucky dog, but at least for the number 3 and the '08 of Ryan Jones, they were about to lose the lap, and pretty much this caution saved them. I think it's gonna be the 47.
47 got the lucky dog here,
Oh,
so good for Sam
all
here
right.
to give himself another shot. But yeah, 10 to go. They say, when you know what they say, cautions breed cautions. We don't have a lot of drivers left after whatever that was. So with 10 to go here, we'll see what we can do here. Is we have a Toyota forward front row is Maggio. Brett Bennett, your pole sitter. Take us back into the restart zone as we're green here with 10 to go.
Gonna get clear there of Maggio in the bottom lane. About to settle for second. Don't count any of these guys in the top 10 out right now because this is far from over. Once again, we see Gavin Smith being able to overcome a caution, make his way up here, third line, and a little bit of separation from the top 3 here, but as we can see, they're catching him quite quickly. Will we see a move out of these guys that haven't been leading too much this race, or are we going to see Bennett continue to dominate as our pole sitter, as the race leader now?
I give a huge shout out to Tyler Watermullen. And in this 68, he's been quiet all race, but I mean, honestly, that's what you probably need, right? To have a good, strong finish here at Daytona, right? There's no stages here in the AWC Pro Series. You just need to be there at the end. And guess what? He's sitting back there now, looks like in the P5 position, giving himself a chance to go up there and race for a win.
We see the outside lane coming up very strong, but don't you be surprised if we're gonna see 3 wide right now, because all these guys are gonna go for the win, as Steven Maggio is gonna be leading that outside lane, followed by a trainer who was pretty much right side by side with Ryan Jones, about to lose the lap, and there he is going with Maggio, leading the outside lane.
Yeah, and trainer running that number 3 car, that Toyota Supra. What a story it would be for him to go to victory lane today. 25 years as we mark since the passing of Dale Earnhardt in the 2001 Daytona 500, and he's definitely put himself in a good spot there, second in line. But we see Maggio in the top lane leading. He's been there all day. He's been leading 2 by 2 out in the top lane, trying to make stuff work with nobody behind him, and it's certainly paid off right now as we see him maybe looking to take the lead here down the super stretch.
And the 3 machine, really, that caution saved his race, Add the 08 and the 3, just trying to, get as much speed as they could to try to stay on the lead lap. And guess what? Got that lucky caution. Now you see the 3 trying to push that top lane out, and you see the 08 back here. That's Ryan Jones sitting right there, 4th in line on the bottom, trying to give himself an opportunity as well. So got the caution he needed, and now taking advantage of the track position while they have it.
So I saw a little bit of squirrely right there for the number 60 of Watermelon. We just were talking about him. He's gonna be okay as we see more and more aggressiveness, more and more pretty much anxiety coming from these drivers as the number 88 of Aguirre is gonna be the number 3 of Trainer tried to take the lead from the number 19 of Maggio. They're getting very aggressive. Aggressiveness, friendship is gone. This is about racing. This is about winning this race. We're gonna be going 5 to go right now.
What would you do for a win at Daytona? Well, I'm telling you right now, Scarborough on the outside, he's telling us, I'm going to take the lead. That's what I'm going to do. We saw Maggio with an amazing block as the 3 tried to make a move on him down the back straightaway, and we're 3 wide now with the 88 up top. Might get strung out there. Not sure if that's going to work for him unless he gets some help or gets back in line. He'll get back in line there, about 4th in line on the top lane. And this is your pack. These are your contenders for the win at the Daytona 250 here with 5 laps to go.
Maggio for the first time actually going to lead the bottom as he has Enrique Cuculon, who's made his way up to the front here in these fast final laps, going to have help from the 77. Scarborough trying to push that 22 out, but that bottom lane with a little bit better mow going into the line, and they're going to give that 19 a lap. Now 4 to go here from Daytona.
Yeah, we saw the flames out of the pipes of the 77 of Scarborough on the top lane. Maybe not able to get the car control he wants as a pusher, being able to get right up to the 22 as we see the top lane falling back a little bit. Not as much working together as we would like to see here in the closing laps, but 3 wide, a huge move on the outside by the 88 of Aguirre. My goodness, he's certainly making a name for himself. We see someone duck off the bottom lane there. Not sure who that was, but 3 wide into the corner.
See a blink out of the 53, and that was the 08 who ducked out of there, but you see the 88, help from the 45, Aguirre trying to make something happen. And speaking back to that 77, maybe temps was an issue there. Try to have to back off. And now you see the 22 going to actually take the lead here. They go 3 to go now as we're now side by side now for that P2 position.
Yeah, being in the top lane is going to be huge coming to the last laps here because you're going to get that huge run down the hill off the corner in turn 2 exit and turn 4 exit. And I think the 88 is just setting himself up for the best possible outcome here. Whether it be him taking a huge run and leading off of corner exit, and or someone else jumping up in front of him, but him having the option to dictate that push. As we see, dicing a little bit, the 77. Little indecisive there on whether or not he's pushing or jumping up, and wow, it's getting really tight here, man.
Wow, I don't know how they didn't get hooked right there. The 77 of Scarborough almost get hooked by the number 53 of Bryson Bird. Bryson Bird is going to be behind Cuculon. Cuculon a little bit dicey coming into the 2 to go. Maggie is going to be still the leader, 3 by 3 by 3 coming into the last 2 laps to go.
3 by 3, 3 rows deep. Now it's going to be 3 wide for this race lead. The 77 on the top, the 22 Enrique in the middle, and there's Steven Maggio on the 19 on the bottom. As they come out of the corner, you see the bottom with the advantage in. You're going to see that 77 with the corner out. Now he's going to have some help from the 88. He's going to try to clear both lanes, and he's going to try to drop down and maybe make a block here to win this race here as we get ready to approach the white flag lap.
Wow, that's a little bit dicey coming from the 77 Scarborough. Here comes Maggio, and there's a lap car on the bottom. Oh, that was very, very close, and we're going to the white flag. 1 more lap to go. Oh, that's going to be a car spinning on the back of the pack. No caution. Of course, we took the white flag.
The white flag in the area.
3 wide.
Still see 3 by 3. The 71 losing some momentum. Help. That top lane starting to die here, and now look at that. Steven Maggio with the bottom help, going to try to take advantage here. Is now the 22 in the middle has died off just a little bit, and the 77 definitely does not have the momentum that he needs to get back there to maybe race for this win.
Big run in the middle by Cuculon.
Cuculon with the help of Bryson Bird getting into the top on the turn 3. It's going to be Maggio, Cuculon. If Maggio gets a good push from the number 3, maybe he's going to get it. Here comes to the front line.
Photo.
Run straight away.
Maggio. Maggio gets
Maggio.
it. Steven Maggio wins week 1 here of season 20 here for the AWC Pro Series. Just that bottom was just too much for that top to take over. And Maggio, race 1, win 1 here for that number 19 machine.
Unbelievable finish. We saw them hold 3 wide for many laps there, and just a great testament to these guys' skill behind the wheels of the sim and being able to keep it clean. You know, we had 1 spinning car coming to the white, but just an amazing job up front. We didn't have a huge crash. We had a great run to the end there, and wow, just an amazing effort by the 19 of Maggio to be able to really take the lead here throughout the race at many different points and remain a factor. And he'll celebrate this Daytona 250 victory with a lot of pride, knowing that he did everything he could to keep himself up front and give himself a chance at the end here, and he capitalized.
Yeah, props to the 22 of Enrique. Put himself in a good spot there at the end. Just unfortunately, didn't get the help there at the end that he needed to capitalize and to give himself an opportunity. But once again, congratulations, 19 team. Maggio gonna burn it down here in the front stretch grass as we get ready, to start our post race show. But once again, congratulations to Maggio and this whole 19 team. He gets ready to burn it down here on the front stretch.
What a good play by the number 19 of Steven Maggio. He hold a very good run from his Enrique Coquelin. Very good job on the number 3 of John Trainer. He was pretty much stayed with Steven Maggio to get that third place. Of course, you want to win, but sometimes you actually need to have a good finish to start a good season.
At the end of the day, you want to win, but also points racing is very big here when it comes to the AWC Pro Series, and it's ironic. The 19 for being the guy to jump up top every opportunity he got, he wins that race on the bottom, and it's ironic to see that the one guy who was that going to be aggressive all race to try to put himself in front ends up getting it done here. That 19 part there. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we'll get ready to start your post-race show here from Daytona as we'll talk to your top 3 finishers tonight and wrap up with some remarks after talking to your top 3. So we'll be right back after a quick commercial break here presented by iRacing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello, as we welcome you back to the post-race shows. We just saw a barn burner of a finish tonight as we saw Steven Maggio take away win 1 here from the AWC Pro Series here from the World Center Racing here at Daytona International Speedway. And to say further ado, let's go ahead and talk to the man of the hour here. Go ahead and pull in the number 19, Steven Maggio, as he gets home here from Daytona. Hey, Steven, it's Christian, Matthew, and Diego up here in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, obviously, I would say a pretty dominant performance out of you. 14 out of 100 laps really doesn't say the story. You know, we're up front, really inside the top 10 throughout the whole race here. So, walk us through obviously that whole 100 laps and how you got yourself up here in the victory lane tonight.
Yeah, it was a fun race. It went with a rough start when we had a couple cautions, but then we had long runs, and that was really fun. And yeah, I didn't lead that many laps because I was on the outside for most of the race. I like running the outside because I feel like even though you don't lead like the laps, or you don't lead as much, you still in position. You're like one mistake on the inside away or one perfect push on the outside away from clearing. And then if you're ahead on the outside going to 3, you have a lot of options because you can just, if you go to the inside, then the outside dies a little bit, and then you can just go right back up to the outside if you want on the exit of the turn, or you can just stay high. So that's where I wanted to be, and it worked out. And I had a crazy save halfway through that race when I don't know who it was, but they like swerved up to the outside wall and they came back down right into my right rear. And I don't know how I saved that. And then there was a different wreck that I almost got right reared. And then that last one, I barely missed that one when Zach got turned up. So we had a little bit of luck on our side in this one, and all it took was one mistake on the inside to be able to clear down. And I didn't know what was going to happen after that. We were 3 wide. I mean, it was fun. And for the most part, I know they wrecked a little bit farther back, but all the guys at the front, the very front, kept it clean. So that was really cool to race green to the end without a green white checkered.
Obviously, when it comes down to Daytona, obviously one of the crown jewel events here for the AWC Pro Series. But, when it comes down just to the points, obviously I feel like a lot of people don't really think of the aspect, especially at these super speeders, of just points racing, right? So obviously winning the race gets you the max points you can, but going into next week, this win really helps, propel you through the points here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think people don't. I mean, it's so much better to not have to start in a hole. Like you have a bad race here, and then you don't even have a chance of leading the points for the next 2 to 3 weeks probably. So it's nice to start out the season with a win, and you starting on your front foot instead of starting on your back foot.
Grace, Matthew, you guys got anything for him?
I mean, just amazing job, man. Running the top lane there, really, really dictating, that top lane throughout the entirety of the race is really impressive. Did you have that planned out from the start? Did you feel comfortable in practice running up in the top lane when you guys were 2x2, or did that just come naturally?
Yeah, just in general, I think I run the top most of the time in pretty much every car. I don't know, I feel like the checkups are worse on the inside, and if you have a good pusher on the outside, I think you're in a little bit more control because you can just get that one good push and maybe clear the guy on the inside. So that was kind of the plan. And at one point, I think every single car left me, and I was just alone on the outside. And that proves my checkups point even more because I was literally alone on the outside, and I wasn't like falling all the way to the back. I was still running like equal to 5th on the inside because they get out a little bit, and then there's a checkup, and I'll get the car length back on them. So that was kind of the plan, and yeah, it worked out good. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, awesome job, man. Well, best of luck this season, and great job winning today's race.
Thank you.
Well, before we let you go, Steven, obviously, once again, congratulations on your win here. Week 1 here of season 20. Before we let you go, though, is there anybody you want to thank here for your win tonight here at the World Center of Racing?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jake for running the league and letting me race, and thank you to you guys in the booth for the broadcast. I'll go back and watch the finish. I mean, like I said, I was really fun in the car. I'm sure it was fun to watch too. And shout out Enrique and all the circumference guys. It was fun racing them. I was around them for most of the night. And yeah, I'm kind of sad that I took it from Enrique because I love Enrique and I know he really wanted this one. But I can't let someone else. I can't let someone win it. Like I feel like if I still have to make him earn it. So he'll get one soon. I know he will. He's been running up front, and so it's coming. If you're watching Enrique, it's coming. I have faith in you. So that's about it. Thank you guys again, and God bless.
We'll
Thank you.
we appreciate the kind words up here in
Yeah.
the booth, and hopefully we can talk to you maybe in Victory Lane once again.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Now, Stephen Maggio, your winner here tonight, and I believe one of you have Enrique here for your P2 finisher interview.
Let's bring it in. Ricky Cucalon, this is Diego. Up to the booth. Do you got me?
Yes, Diego, go ahead.
All right, so second place, so close yet so far. Something you could do any different?
It's kind of heartbreaking considering the way we lost this race the last time. While leading on the last lap, we got crashed. But I mean, second place, I guess, is better than wherever we finished last November. But I had the help there from Bryson at the end. I feel like we didn't have the amount of cars that we needed in the middle lane to sort of like go ahead. We kind of had a run there coming out of 4, but the 3 just gave a big push to Steven, and I knew at that point there was nothing we could do. But it's still a great way to start the season. I mean, second place. I couldn't ask. Of course, I could have asked for a win, but I feel like considering how we ended last year, I feel like this is a very good start for season number 20.
That's great to hear. Christian, Matthew, you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, great job tonight, man. I mean, obviously you guys kept it really clean up in the front there as you guys were 3 wide, few rows deep. Tell me more about what it was like coming to the white there. Were you were you expecting you guys to stay clean throughout the last few laps there? Were you in command of your lane? Did you feel did you need anything more, or did you feel like you got out of that pretty lucky, all considering?
Oh, it was. I was completely scared there when we were 3 wide because I know how the situations usually end with a big crash. But yeah, I felt like Bryson behind me did a pretty good job at just like keeping it where I was, staying with me, and Steven on the bottom. Even though I feel like we went 4 wide at one point with, I think it was the 24. We did a pretty good job at keeping it together, not crashing. I think they crashed further back on the last lap, but up front, I was very scared when I saw that 3 wide. Thankfully, the outside I think died out there and going into 1. But still, great job there by everyone at Circumference Ultimate Motorsports. I feel like we played a perfect race. Brett, Wyatt, Michael, Bryson, Zach, even. We had I think like a 5-6 car train there with 10 to go. And then I think it was a glitch there between Brett and Zach that created that big crash that took some of us out. I was involved in that while I came in, got damaged repaired, and at that point with 10 to go, and mentality is just go to the front. And I made it 3 wide a few times. Eventually got with Jake. Unfortunately, he got shuffled out of line. Not really sure where he ended up, but I feel like if we could have had Jake and Bryson behind me, I feel like that would have been the winning combination here tonight. But I guess we're just gonna have to settle for second.
Well, obviously, like you brought it up, kind of losing in heartbreaking fashion last year. Losing tonight obviously stings a lot, but at least you get that good finish. And obviously, going back to the way the started the race was with the caution and stuff and everything else, do you feel like, at least for that first half of the race, it was just about that battle of, attrition, obviously no faster pace for you guys here in the Pro Series. Was it just trying to get to the end here and trying to survive to get you to a spot to potentially race for tonight's win?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Circumference Ultimate Motorsport, we always come into these plate tracks with sort of a strategy that we play out. At first, a few of us started at the front, so we just stay at the front because we knew all the crashes were happening at the back of the field. And once we got sort of like to that halfway point of the race, we just stayed in line, safe, because we had a number set before the race where we wanted to make our final pit stop. And, we were playing the fuel game with all the other guys. I believe some of them were like short before that 10 to go caution, so we were playing it to perfection there. But as you said, it stings considering neither of us came out with a win, but still a great points day. I want to shout out everyone who supports me. I run this trailer gray car for someone very special to me, very dear. I appreciate them very much. So I usually got the 22 with some Logano thing on the side, but for that special person. I bring the Taylor Gray car, and it's brought some great results. I mean, this car won its first race at Martinsville last year with Taylor. So far, it's given me a sixth and a second. So it's just up from here. Great start to season 20. I'll be there, try to make it the rest of the races, and hopefully have a shot at the championship.
That's for sure it is. Thank you so much. Any shout out that you want to give?
Yeah, you guys, of course, for broadcasting this race. I know I'm part of another broadcast network, but still, thank you guys for allowing me or for allowing us to rewatch these races, because I really want to go back and watch the final restart, because it was just scary being in the middle of that 3 wide situation. But thank you guys. Thank you to my teammates, Tyler and Matthew. I think they were the ones that I didn't mention. Shane was also in there. Shane O'Neill was spotting for us there a bit. Thank you to Andrew Wise, who was watching tonight's event. Thank you to my friends, my family, all the sponsors are on this car. It would take me years to mention them all, but it's really, I'm one part I'm heartbroken, but on the other part I'm very happy to come out with a second.
All right, so uh, then we'll leave you to pretty much go back to your duties. And well, congratulations on the second. Of course, it's not the first, but either way, it's a good finish, even after being into a wreck. So, yeah, have a great one and congrats.
Yep, thank you guys. See you at Homestead.
P2 finisher of Enrique, and I think we have Matthew, who's got John Trainer back here for that P3 interview.
John Trainer, Matthew, and the boys up in the booth. First of all, man, congrats on your third place finish. What do you got to say about that finish, sir? I mean, third place for the number 3. I mean, we saw you up in the front there towards the end of the race, and it was really cool to see that 3 car out front in Daytona. Tell us a little bit about the finish and being 3 wide there. How was it being right in the hornet's nest there towards the end?
Man, the boys, thanks for having me. Dude, it was crazy. This is my first race in the series, and I kind of screwed up at the start. I couldn't see the pit boards for a long time, so I had to figure out where I was pitting. I went a lap down, got her back, and then just sat in the back, and I just rode around. That last caution came, short fueled her, took her to the end, no problem. Restarted 7th. I got on the bottom, about 5 to go, and I said, I'm just pushing this guy to the win. I said, checkers or wreckers, this is how we're doing it. And you know what? We pushed the 3 car into third place, 25th anniversary of Dale's passing. I think that's as good of a send off as you can have, right?
Oh yeah, man, and I mean that was the first thing that I thought of when I saw that car, and obviously, great job keeping it clean to the end there. Tell me a little bit about your paint scheme, man. Did you make it yourself? What went into this, and what went into this whole day? Just walk us through it.
Well, first off, I didn't want to make an ass of myself. This is my first time here. I kind of made an ass of myself in the duels. But, I took myself back. So, the paint scheme is the 28 was gone. That's normally the number I use. So I said, give me the 3. And I took Dale Jr.'s paint scheme, I think 2012 Daytona when he ran the 3 in whatever sponsor it was called then, and won the race at Daytona. And I turned it into my team's thing with the Navy and Dayglow. And I think it turned out pretty well, Team Hypre. But I wasn't racing for Team Hypre. I was racing for Team Redux, Alpha Redux, but Team Hypre is my main team. Also Only Endurance, one of the people who've been helping me out for a long time, Edgman Printing and Boys Gaming, of course. Those are all my main sponsors there. But yeah, it was a lot inspired by Dale Earnhardt. He was a hero of mine, and I remember that day and running the 3 on a damn cheating Toyota. It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great stuff, John. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have you as being as low as 37th today, and obviously, finishing third. I think that's something to be really proud of. Really quick before we send you off here, anyone you want to thank? Any shout outs you got tonight?
Redo Racing, Alpha Redo Racing. Hi Pre, Only Endurance, Edge and Printing, Boys Gaming. Those are the people who've supported me longest. Um, just Adam, who was driving the 34 tonight. He's the one that got me doing this. You guys for putting on a phenomenal broadcast. Thanks for everything you guys do. And I had the most fun I've had in iRacing in a long time. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Everybody race clean. Also, I want to give an apology to Michael Chastain. I kind of junked him earlier. Didn't mean to, but I'll send my apologies later. Yeah, it's pretty bad of me.
Hey, we appreciate the honesty, and man, I love your attitude. So keep it up, and wishing you the best of luck throughout the remainder of this season, man.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Appreciate it. It's gonna be a fun year. Keep your stuff up. I'll be reviewing the broadcast. I wanna rewatch it back. You guys sound great.
We
Thank you,
appreciate the
sir.
kind comments. You
Appreciate
have a
it.
good rest of
Yeah.
the night.
Yeah, you guys as well.
What a great personality right there. You love when you have great personality sometimes.
I love
Oh yeah.
I love hearing from John and really just enthusiasm he has coming into the season, and especially as a rookie coming into the season, wanting to prove something. I mean, that's something you really look for in a young driver, at least here in the series. When it comes to just time here in the AWC Pro Series, so really cool that John got a good finisher. Obviously, was started back there in P25. Good for him to get up there into a podium spot, and hopefully he can carry that momentum into Homestead next week. And then speaking about that, Homestead next week, one of the more dynamic tracks that we go to on the NASCAR schedule, especially here in these Xfinity cars. You can kind of run whatever your lane you want to. You can go up there, rip the wall, in 1 and 2, and 3 and 4. But you can also go down there and run the bottom. And it's just so dynamic, and it usually just puts on phenomenal racing every time we go there.
Yeah, and also that, of course, we have um, multi-group racing, as we know that Homestead is very much the last race of the schedule for this, of course, for AWC being the second race. We go from a super speedway to pretty much an intermediate as well, multi-group or intermediate. So we're gonna have 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide. Uh, but yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, very fun to watch.
I definitely agree. And it's always cool to see the dynamics of how the drivers are going to react from going from week to week. Obviously, we come from the high banks of Daytona that we just saw Steven Maggio win to kind of nothing similar to Daytona, but you go to the high banks of Homestead, with the dynamic banking throughout the corners, where the higher you go up on the track, the more banking you get in it. I feel like that's just what makes that track unique. What makes the racing so good there is just, wherever you go, you can find speed. And I'm glad that, it's back here, hosting the championship, in the real life series for all three, top three series in NASCAR. I'm excited to see those, back in November when we get to that time. But, Homestead next week here for the AWC Pro Series drivers. We've seen phenomenal racing tonight here for the win. I can't wait to go and call that race next week there at Homestead.
Of course, we have pretty much stay in Florida as well. So from Daytona to Miami, Homestead, actually Florida. So yeah, um, hopefully we start like learning that this is not the Xfinity car anymore. This is the O'Reilly car. So the moment
Yep.
that we still keep it calling the Xfinity cars, we need to go here like remind this is O'Reilly now. So yeah.
It's going to be definitely a learning curve. But before we let everybody go, let's go ahead and look at your unofficial race results. Obviously, we talked to your top three finishers of Steven Maggio, Enrique Cucalan, and John Trainer. But we see Brett Bennett back there in that P4 position. Bryson Berto round out your top five. Darren Staff back there in P6. Brendan Reed in the 57, making a good recovery back there inside the top 10. Gavin Smith, P8. Tyler Watermullen back there in P9, and rounding out your top 10, the boss man himself, Jake Scarborough, in that number 77 machine.
Boutwell is gonna be on P11. Santiago Aguirre, who was pretty much on the front of the pack most of the second half of the race, it ended up in P12. Ryan Jones is gonna be in P13. Michael Kruger P14. running the top 15 is going to be Wyatt Roberts. Gilberto Gomera is going to be P16 with a lap down. Coming up is going to be Bingham, Fabian, and Joe Follow with lap downs. And pretty much Zach Probst, who was pretty much confirmed by Kukalon that he had a technical issue by the sim who provoked that last yellow, running up the top 20.
Yeah, as we get to the 21st and 30th positions, we see a lot of guys laps down, a lot of guys out of the race. You know, not the best days for these guys, but nonetheless, Brian Ronnebaum, 21st, Landon A. Brown, 22nd, Matthew Chastain, Tim Galley Jr., Haley Moody, 23rd, 24th, 25th, respectively. Christopher Andrews, obviously, was up front for a while. He was out. Adam Tall, 34 car. He's going to be 27th. Andrew Davis in the 4 car, 28th. And Connor Mertucci and Michael Deitch is going to round out your top 30.
And rounding out the rest of the field here, you see Olivia Hammond back there in the 54 out early as well. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer back there in the P32 position. Ethan Sanchez in the 81 back there, P33, alongside his teammate Gabe Cazola, P34. Jacob Davis back there, rounding out your top 35, and the rest of the field here. Javier Soto in the 95. James Costello in the 97, and rounding out the field here out early, Carlos Acosta, that O2 machine. But, you know, Matthew, Andreas, you know, it was a ton of fun having you guys up in the booth calling the race here for the first race here of season 20 here of the AWC Pro Series. Once again, here from the high banks of Daytona as we get ready to crown, you know, a race winner here. Steven Maggio takes home the win here for week number 1. And, you know, Matthew, Diego, any last remarks before we call tonight?
Yeah, I mean, really fun night just being here with you guys and being able to see these guys out on track. Really fun race. I mean, obviously some really fun moments throughout the race. We had some crazy crashes. We had some, you know, fuel strategy and fuel saving. We had green flag pit stops. We had an amazing 3-wide finish, and you know what more could you ask for here at the, you know, World Center of Racing in Daytona? But yeah, just great stuff all around. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, I would say so. It was a complete package. Even we had even a netco situation with that iRacing, so we have even a flip on the back straightaway with the 28. We had great savings. We had pretty much the what a super speedway race brings to you. But all that is one winner came out, and that was Steven Maggio. Congratulations to him, and well, we'll see how Homestead comes to us.
Well, for me, up here, the lead producer, obviously owner of iVelocity TV, we appreciate Matthew and Diego coming up in the booth. Before we let you all go, first we have to give a huge shout out to our league sponsors who helped put on this, you know, this league. Burn Rubber Entertainment couldn't do without the help from them, helping the league out and doing everything they do, and also Icarus. Thank you to everybody over there with them who help out with the league and stuff and do everything they can do. But once again, from everybody over here in the High Velocity TV studios here in Central Kansas, myself, Matthew Prochaski, and Diego Acuna, we appreciate everybody for coming out. If you haven't liked the broadcast over on the YouTube side, please give it that thumbs up and share it with friends and family and try to grow out this network. If you haven't subbed to the channel, I would really much appreciate it if you guys would hit that subscribe button. You'll be notified anytime we go live here on the channel. We're not only here for the AWC Pro Series, but we also do cover some other series, the ISNF Cup Series, which we will be going to tomorrow, actually, at Richmond Raceway. And then we'll be right back here on Thursday for the Prestige Cup Series as they continue to start off kick off their season. Once again, I appreciate everybody coming on. If you guys are looking for any broadcasting help, whether you guys are looking to have the U League broadcasted by us here at High Velocity TV, whether you guys are wanting to join a team, whether you want to be in the booth here calling the races, just like myself, Matthew, and Diego, whether you want to be behind the scenes, maybe producing, maybe you're a little bit shy, don't want to speak up here, we could definitely use some, help, using the cameras and just putting on the broadcast. Or even if you are, an up and coming graphic designer, just wanting to, get your name out there, you can definitely email us over at HVTV broadcasting at AOL.com. But once again, from everybody over here at High Velocity TV, hope everybody has a great rest of your Friday night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more Cup Series racing. Hope everybody has a great rest of the night, and we'll see you guys soon.